Thank you, Claudia, for the opportunity. Look, there's a whole lot of titles that I wear. Fifi is a mom, Fifi's a sister, Fifi is a whole lot of things. But in the workspace, I am head of broker in the alternative distribution in Liberty in the emerging consumer markets. Very passionate about this industry, especially for the consumer emerging markets, in making sure that their financial freedom is really, really understood by those that service and by the person that actually receives the service. And in accounting, because I was just passionate about people. And when I got into the industry, it was more of still in the emerging consumer markets, but I became passionate when I got into the affluent space and got to see how one can create legacy. And it also became personal because at the time, I started, my parents were still in government. They've retired. And when I looked at their pay slips, and all they had, Kola, on their pay slips is about 6-7 policies of funeral policies. And at that time, I got scared and I realized this is what a typical emerging consumer market client knows, funeral policies, and they do not know the whole spectrum of how to reimagine themselves in a position that they're able to leave a decent legacy for themselves. So that's how I really got immersed in this particular service of saying, look, I want to make a difference.
Women are now taking up more positions and more space in the working world. Why is it important, particularly for them, to be insured?
We are seeing a deliberate move in corporates, in government, in terms of making sure that women are employed. I mean, even the employment stats, even though they are shrinking, but you're seeing the employment is gravitating towards more women being employed than ever. And therefore, what does that entail? It entails them having a purchasing power and them being able to have money. And this is where insurance comes. You need to start protecting the assets that matter as you acquire them. And one of the biggest assets is income. That really one does not actually think about, that you need to protect it. Insurance has become a necessity more than just a nice to have, so to speak. Yeah, look, like I've said, you protect your income, in terms of unforeseen expenses, okay? You protect your savings. Let's say you are a woman, you've decided to put savings. If the funeral comes, if you don't have a funeral cover, for example, guess what? Where are you going to tap into your savings? If you become ill and you don't have medical insurance, or health insurance, where you're going to tap in, hospital plans needs to then kick in. In the case of disability and death, as I've said, now you've acquired all these assets such as a house, cars. If you are disabled, if you get into an accident and you're disabled, or maybe something else makes you disabled, you can't pay for those assets, you lose those assets. Whereas if you've got a life cover that has got disability and a death benefit, it then allows you to take care of where your loved ones were staying. In the case of death, in disability, you don't lose your asset. Not only that, from an estate planning as well, it ensures that the legacy, the financial freedom that you would have from your children, from your family, is taken care of. One of the biggest myths is we leave our finances to men. Especially if you're married, we get into marital contracts that have got financial implications. And at the end of the day, we assume that men will die first. And sometimes you end up being the one that passes on first, and you've got children that are in a worse off situation because there's a shift in balance in the quality of life that they are living. Yeah.
Some powerful nuggets there, Heken. And we should never leave anything to chance, woman or man. Don't leave anything to chance at all. And Fifi, I mean, we've touched on it slightly, but do you know of, or can you share with us any studies or stats that show women's behavior when taking up insurance? Because like we've said, we're influenced by different things, be it the
Yeah.
people that we have to take care of or the things we want to acquire in life. But what seems to be the pattern when it comes to women and their behavior and insurance?
It's in two folds. And the first one, I think you spoke about it earlier. We like taking care of people. So you would find portfolios when a woman goes and looks out, they will go and look out for an insurance that covers the family, an insurance that makes sure that everybody, an education plan for the child, not a savings plan that I can go buy myself a Gucci bag, so to speak. But they're always thinking about the next person, and this now it has stretched, especially now with the high divorce rate, where you start having single home headed families, where you have females running a household, and now they must buy a home, and therefore that influences what type of insurance they would like to have. Then they start thinking about life covers.
So we're changing the narrative, so to speak, because I mean, I look at my mom and the financial behavior she had. I mean, she's quite a staunch, highly respected woman, but obviously she did things in a certain way because she learned things in a certain way. Yeah. I am now exposed to both my mom's historical legacy with finances, and now I'm adopting my own, particularly working for a financial institution. I am able to see that these are the things that I need to do to make sure that I am financially free come any situation in my life. What advice would you give to women around ensuring that they are adequately insured? Because it's one thing being insured. How do we ensure we're adequately insured? And I think I haven't quite figured out for myself, what do I benchmark as adequately insured? But I'd love to hear your view on it, because coming from a woman who's even at a brokerage, I mean, I can take a bit of advice from you.
Look, Tola, it all starts off with one simple thing. Who is your best friend in finances? And if you do not have a financial planner as your best friend, you will never know. You can come talk to me as a friend, but I'll never know. Remember, as friends, we only talk. I tell you what you need to know. I tell my spouse what he needs to know. I tell my mother what he needs to know. But whereas with a financial advisor, they sit with you and they do a financial needs analysis, and they take that in consideration of what your dreams are, where you are at, how realistic you are in terms of dreaming, and what your payslip can do. If you have a financial advisor, they will be able to tell you what is adequate and what is not. They'll be able to say, look, Kola, you want to be a millionaire at this age, okay? Right now, you are a centennial, okay? How do we plan for you to move from this point to the next point? How adequate in terms of the assets that you have, how do we adequately make sure that those are covered? 2 years from now, Tola has moved up. She's now a director. She's a migrating client. That adequacy now changes. So that is why that continuous engagement with your financial advisor has always been 1 year. And now with the COVID, we've just shifted and said, no. We need to start having biannual engagements, if not quarterly engagements. The same way that you have with your doctor's engagement, once or 3 times a year, once you see your dentist for healthy teeth. Healthy finances, you need to see your financial advisor at least twice a year.
Yeah. So we'll only know what is adequate until you tell your financial advisor or your financial friend the actual truth. Then you'll be able to start planning or seeing what is adequate for you, because no one brush can be used for everyone. However, the openness and conversation and the true reflection of your finances is what will help you acquire adequate financial advice.
I mean, financial advice, Kola, it boils down to having a tailor-made solution, not a blanket approach. I cannot say what works for Kola. We can be in the same age, Kola. We can run together. We can have the same interests, but I can have 6 family members. You can have 2. So we need to have a different conversation. You have different aspirations from what I have. So financial planning, what it does with financial needs analysis, it actually tailor-makes the solution to you. to be able to answer, you are not at an adequate point, you are overly insured in terms of risk. Let's then shift your portfolio into another investment portfolio so we have a balanced approach.
Fifi, our last and I think most powerful question. What advice would you give to a young woman watching our video now around finances and their financial future, if they see themselves becoming the next Fifi, if they see themselves becoming the next CEO of whatever institution they want to dream of becoming? What advice do you want to give them that will be in line with, one, their career development, but also their finances? Because I think those two go hand in hand.
Look, career development is something else, but I will definitely have, this is something I'm passionate about, and I always call it, love has got nothing to do with it. And when you are young, you want to get married. For example, if you are planning on getting married, you need to understand that marital contract that you will be in has got a financial implications going forward. So make sure that you know all the marital contracts and what implications they would have. You know, those T's and C's at the bottom that they have, marital contracts have got T's and C's. Anything can happen. You need to understand the financial implications of this. But to the younger self, me, my advice would be, life is long, but retirement is around the corner. Start saving now.
Thank you, Fifi. I think I need my check-in with my financial advisor. Life is long, but retirement is around the corner. I love that. I love it. Thank you so much, Fifi. Thank you for this wonderful conversation. I'm sure everyone listening out there will hopefully do the right thing, contact their financial advisor, or at least have personal, honest conversations with themselves in order to plan best for their future. Thank you so much, Fifi.